Hello, I'm Lidia Canovas, General Manager of Regulatory Affairs here at Asphalion. Welcome to a new edition of Asphalion RegTalks about regulatory information management systems. In the pharmaceutical industry, RIMS systems are key to have our data sorted in a good shape and allow the operation and maintenance of medicinal products. In addition, we will face very soon an important transition from the current XBMPD transmission of data in place since 2012 to the new ISO IDMPD standard. This is going to add complexity, increasing the amount of data to be transmitted, and it will have an important impact in the internal procedures of industry. In this scenario, the regulatory information management systems will be even more important. That's why we have created this series of RegTalks to give you information on this topic and support you through the process. To talk about this, today we are here with Katrin Spaepen from Veeva. She is the Director of Strategy and responsible for the Veeva RIMS suite in Europe. So be very welcome, Katrin. And we will start with a few questions. If first you can kindly introduce briefly yourself.
Thank you, Lydia. Yeah, welcome. Thank you. As you say, I'm Katrin Spaepen, Director of Strategy. So I'm in fact, I have a product responsibility in Europe on our Vault RIM suite. The Vault RIM suite consists of 4 applications: Vault Submissions, Vault Submissions Archive, Vault Submission Publishing, and Vault Registration, and really aims to support the full regulatory end-to-end process. But we can talk about that later. Let's see what questions you have, Lydia.
Yeah, the first question to start, Katrin, what do you see as the key drivers for companies to move to a RIM system? And does it make any difference depending on the size of the company, portfolio, revenue, or number of activities or annual variations?
Well, indeed, different companies do have different perspectives on moving to a RIM system. But first, I would like to define RIM. RIM stands for Regulatory Information Management, and for me and Veeva, it is a system that encompasses both data and information, such as documents, submissions, published output, and it is a system that supports all main regulatory processes. So, with regards to moving to a RIM system and to digitalization, we see in fact in industry that there are 3 main categories, and these 3 main categories are independent of size, of their portfolio, of their revenue, and even of the activities they do. However, the key differences are corporate vision, the corporate management involvement in all these activities, and then the drivers of change. So let me explain. The companies most advanced in this space are those who are at a point where they want to do things entirely differently. And often these companies, they have really a clear vision on how transformation through digitalization supports the business. Corporate management is really engaged and frequently and directly present in all the initiatives. And they are looking for enterprise-wide solutions that really can connect the different processes across the whole drug development value chain. So they are looking for solutions that go beyond regulatory. And then we see other companies that are really focused on process efficiencies and cost optimizations in the regulatory domain. These companies, they are often looking for an end-to-end regulatory solutions whereby all the processes can be supported by one solution. We see that corporate management involvement is limited and often only indirectly present with some touch points. But for these companies, it is important that you can demonstrate how your system can help them in obtaining process efficiencies and cost optimizations. And then there is the third category. The third category are really companies that are driven by compliance. And often in these days, as you already mentioned, Lydia, IDMP is a key driver. These are companies that in most cases still come from an entirely paper environment or have legacy systems in place, and often these are more than 10-year-old. These companies, they really need a lot of education on what an innovative RIM system can do, and they need external help to overhaul their processes and organizations. Often, these companies are reluctant to take decisions since there is no involvement from top management as there is no strategic direction regarding corporate digitalization. So as you can see, we identified three categories independent of size, portfolio, or activities they do.
Thank you, Katrin, for this clear explanation on the three type of categories. This is very interesting indeed. Coming to the capabilities of RIM systems, what do you consider as the core capabilities of future RIM systems to be implemented by industry?
Well, that's a very good question. We believe that a future RIM system should consist of 5 core capabilities. Let me explain to you. Well, first, we need to have native support for both data and documents. And also, we need to have a system where that is able to keep data and documents synchronized. And think about XDV and PD and tomorrow IDMP. Because with that, you need to make sure that your data and your submission documents are completely in sync. And if you have separate systems, it's almost impossible. You also need an open architecture to support data exchange with non-RIM systems, because often a lot of the source data that is needed for, say, IDMP messages come from outside RIM systems. And then you need to have a system that can build a complete view of the license data, regardless of the data ownership across the enterprise. And last but not least, you need a system that has the capability to create reports and dashboards. And this should be embedded in the system because it should be possible to create real-time overviews of license data and any other information in the system. So this is what we think very high level, what the core capabilities are of a future RIM system.
Thanks a lot. This is key information indeed. And another question I do have is well, we discuss a lot with clients. Who will be the responsible of the implementation for the implementation of RIMS, and who will lead the process? So, in so to speak, companies ask. Because mainly XEV and PD is managed by pharmacovigilance departments, and then how is it regarded? Is RIMS system exclusive to regulatory affairs? Who could be the key users of a RIMS system in an industry?
That's a very good question. Indeed, let's for instance take an example. Let's consider a post-approval variation management process. This is a process that occupies 80% of the activities in regulatory. But as I will explain, you see that many other actors are involved. So, for instance, we start with regulatory operations managers in headquarters. Following the change, they need to perform an impact assessment to see which products in which countries are affected. And then with our Vault RIM system, if you wish to do so, all the necessary activities can be automatically assigned to the local operating companies. And then the submission core packages need to be built. Here, the regulatory operations manager needs the help of a lot of different authors depending on the variation content. We think about CMC writers, medical writers, manufacturing is often involved, and even affiliates contribute to it. And then there is the review and approval step. There, it's not only the regulatory affairs managers that reviews and approve the content, but also other departments are involved, like quality control, manufacturing, safety, and depending on the variation content. Finally, the local submission need to be published. Here, the regulatory operation management manager creates and often with the help of a translator, translate the necessary content and then publishes the whole submission and send it to the local operating company. The local operating company then submits it to the health authorities and awaits the approval. And following that, they update the registration records. So we see that with a process that many people think is a purely regulatory process, a lot of other actors are involved as well.
I see. So the view of that RIM users are multi-department, and this is a view that we absolutely share. Then, um, my next question is about the implementation process. So when companies decide to implement a RIM system, normally they have not implemented previously a system like this. And how important do you think that having an implementation partner is in this process for companies?
Indeed, we think that an implementation partner like Asphalion is always important, and the reason is that a solution does not consist of a system on its own, because the processes must be re-engineered, and implementing a new system has also an impact on the users. And let me go back to the three categories I defined earlier. So based upon, let's say, the category, we see that there are different needs. So the companies that are most mature in terms of digitalization, where what an implementation partner can do is to redefine and help transforming the processes and the organization. We also see that they need to assist in shaping the future environment, and they play a crucial role in change management. In companies that are focused on process efficiencies and cost improvements, we also see that the implementation partner focuses on the redesign of processes, but with a focus on defining key performance indicators as well as metrics. And they often also define business process bottlenecks. And then, yes, change management is always a crucial element. And then in the companies that are focused on compliance, we see that the implementation partners can provide a lot of education on what an innovative RIM system can do. And often they start with helping out and performing a gap analysis of the processes and the functions, and they help with defining the URS. And I think this is all these tasks is something that Veeva is looking to partner with a company like Asphalion to make this happen.
Thanks a lot, Katrin. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.